We are recording. Hello, thanks for coming on to the second episode. We're doing back-to-back episodes today. I feel like I've been on the computer all day. Actually, I have been on the computer all day. But second episode of the Blah Blah Zoom series, which I'm doing to promote washing your hands. That's my main motive for this series. Wash your hands.
Right, okay. No, I'm not going to say I've washed my hands recently, but I have washed my hands today. But I've also not left the house today, so
You have to do it
I don't know that.
3-4 times now. That's my recommendation.
Right, hold on, I'll be right back.
So I asked you to come on today specifically to talk about one topic, which I think is very relevant at the minute, given the current state of things with the COVID-19 virus. And I like saying COVID-19; it sounds a little spicier than coronavirus. But about going back to college as a mature student and like the kind of decision-making process behind that, and the overall thoughts of the 3 years that we spent shackled together.
Shackled is a good way. I think one of us was shackled more to the other than. I don't think it was an equal shackled partnership. I think it was like, you have a car, I'm going to shackle myself to you.
Yeah, I'm coming with you. Yeah. So basically, I was a 2-4 for 3 years.
Yeah, and look, it worked out really well for me.
It did. We all made it through then. We all made it to college in time every day.
Yes. Listen to some phenomenal music in the car on the way.
We did. Red Hot Chili Peppers exclusively, pretty much.
Yeah, I was thinking about, because when you said this to me about the topic, and I was thinking about it then last night, and thinking about how similar the situations could be for some people compared to what I was going through before I went to college, because I worked in HMV for years. I worked in shops for years. I had never gone to college after school. I did my leaving and then just started working in shops because I didn't know what I wanted to study. I didn't know what I wanted to do. I just wanted money. It was just the easiest thing to do, just go work in a shop. But I got stuck in the cycle of having money, and then I was in a supermarket, and then I was in HMV and Grafton Street, so I pretty much had what was like my ideal job, which was just talking about music and movies and whatever with customers. I loved that job. And so the situation was pretty much taken out of my hands. Like when HMV closed, I think it was January, and I realized after it closed that I had no qualification. I had nothing to fall back on. I had experience in the shop, but my experience didn't matter as much as my happiness with the job. So I knew I wasn't going to get a job in another record shop for another 10 years because it just didn't exist. And you look at people now that are being laid off, their jobs have been taken away from them, and it's obviously out of their control, and some of them might never get their jobs back in the sectors that they're looking at. And I had that feeling that like I'm never going to get that job back, and I have no qualification, and I don't know what I'm going to do. So I started looking into full-time education. So it was, say, around January, February, and I was thinking in August and September, that's when I'll be going back. So I started looking into courses, and more importantly, started looking into things that I had an interest in. I wasn't going back to college to do like a business degree that I didn't care about. I thought, if I'm going to go back and devote time to study, I want to be able to study something that I care about. So even if I don't get a job at the end of it, I'll still feel like I've made progress. Like I'm happy with what I've learned. So I made the decision in like January or February that like I'm going to go back to college full time, and then was trying to find the right course to go into and trying to find like the right avenue to go down. And well, I found one. You just happened to be on it as well, but
It's funny now that you say that, because I was going through the exact same. I never actually thought this. I was going through the exact same decision making process at that time as well, because I had just left the army, and that's all I ever wanted to do was be in the army. And then when I got injured, come out, and then I like that was like Octoberish. Let the Christmas go by, and then when the CAA opened, I was like, "Fuck, I better make a decision here," and jumped the gun. So it's actually we went through the same decision making process at the same time, but without knowing each other really. Essentially, that's actually good to know.
Yeah, but it's. I mean, we did our like a major project in college on this kind of thinking of like being in a position where you feel like you need to make a change, or like I think we had set out to talk to people about people that had done 3 or 4 years in college and then hated the subject that they're in and wanted to completely change direction when they left. And we were trying to get people to trying to get people to feel like it was okay to like change direction, like
Yeah,
say go from the army to creative media, or go from, even if it was the other way around, like whatever
yeah,
way it works, but to try and convince people that like it's scary as hell to try and do stuff like that, but like it can be really, really, really rewarding. And that was like the main thing that kept coming to me when I was applying was like, so I was applying when I was 28. I turned 29 like just after I started first year.
mm.
And I remember thinking like, I'm not gonna get along with anybody in this class. I'm gonna be 10 years older than everybody. I'm not like I'm not the most social person with my own age group. Never mind like going back to, people having house parties and all that sort of stuff. But it was a really scary prospect. And I think that was like the scariest thing in the whole application and the whole like preparing for it, was that I thought, Jesus, I'm going to be so out of place. I'm going to be like
Yeah.
that weird old person that everybody else looks at me like that's the weird old person. And
No, but we
it
did.
was like, it was, yeah, no, I know. That was the one thing I was right about, was that I was the weird old person that sat in the front. Um, but it was like, you had to make a decision of like, right, okay, I'm going to do something that I enjoy. I'm going to get skills out of it that I know I'm going to use in my own spare time, even if I don't use them for a job. I'm going to, I can see myself using these skills, and then just pushing yourself to try something new and to not like fall back into the same patterns. And just try, like, yeah, it was just like trying to find something new and trying to like expand horizons, and think of, I'll be much better off if I finish this
Yeah.
professionally and personally.
Yeah. What was it that made you choose creative media? I just like, it was pure self reflection. And I was like, what am I good at? And that's why I navigated. Like, just what I had an interest in. Was that kind of a similar thought process to you?
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, there was film in it, and film was something I was interested in. But I remember talking to somebody about the with people that had already done the film course and had done our course, the creative media course, and the people that had done the creative media course saying there was far more avenues open to them afterwards, that
Yeah.
they had dipped their toes into 3 or 4 different fields that the film one didn't. And like the film one is for film students who want to work in film, and that's it. And I
Yeah.
thought, well, like wouldn't mind working in film, but I'd be much more likely to go and work in some other field,
Yeah.
So that was like the variety in the course was what spoke to me. And then it was like there was things that I was interested in doing in my spare time that the course would enhance my knowledge of. So that was a pretty good indicator that if I wanted to do it when I was at home, I may as well go and study it and learn how to do it better.
Yeah. No, I completely agree. That's the same thing, same thought process I had. Like, film was like the sole winner pretty much for me, but I knew I didn't want to work in the film industry. And saying that the skill sets that you do come out of it, the creative media course, that you could do anything. Like, if you look at all, like,
Yeah,
at our classmates, like the amount of different stuff that we're doing, like Like you did content for what, the last how many years?
2 years.
2 years,
Two
yeah,
years today, I started that job.
yeah, and then but then I worked with you as well. So I was like you did the content. I was multimedia design. Would probably be the best term for it. So graphics and video and photography. And now my job is primarily video, and then you've like production assistants out of the class and graphic designers and teachers and PhD candidates and stuff like so. It really is a diverse course and really opens up a gazillion doors for you like at the end of it.
Yeah, and that's like a major selling point for it. That, and I mean, it's a major selling point, but it can also seem like the most wishy-washy course that you could make up. Because I remember my granny asking me when I was going to start the course, she said like, "Oh, what are you going to do at the end of it?" It's like, I don't know. I don't know. Like, it's not like I'm going to do a course in accounting and I'm going to become an accountant at the end of it. It was like, oh, I'm doing this one that I'm going to be doing coding. I'm going to be doing graphic design. I'm going to be making movies.
But that's the brilliance of it, though, because you in your final, like so it was the level 7 to start out, but then you progress into level 8 if you wanted. So, but in the final years, like you really got to hone in on the chosen skill set that you wanted to pursue, which I thought was like the brilliance of the course. You spend probably about 2 years kind of just figuring it out, and then you really go hell for leather there in the last 9 months of it and really fine tune the skill set that you want. And the opportunities there for every skill set.
Exactly, yeah. Like you put yourself in a group of people, and ideally like you pick a group of people that like would have different skills, and like you bring your skill set and they bring theirs, and you combine it to make whatever project it is at the end. But like the thing that I didn't consider before I started, and what ended up being the most positive outcome for me was, and I don't know if this is because of being a mature student and not having a college education before I went, but the level of confidence that I had in myself at the end of it compared to what I had when I started, is just completely night and day. That I went in feeling like I didn't have skills, I didn't have ability. I was just like, I knew I could do this bit half decent and I could do this bit half decent, but I wasn't, skilled, and to be able to tell people like, oh yeah, I know how to do this.
Yeah.
And I know how to do that. And personally as well, like just like as a human being, I felt more confident in myself after having done it, because it's we had a really, really great group of classmates who were like, every single one of them were were lovely to the elbow that sat down in front. And it made me feel great about myself.
Yeah.
And I was really, really, that's the most pleasing aspect of having done the 3 years that I did, was that I felt better about myself at the end of it than I did before I started.
Definitely, because like you can see, like you do go on this massively personal evolution from like day one to the final day, because like you're after getting all these skill sets, and then and we had to put them on, like showcase them to the public for 3 days at an exhibition. Like, so you really get to prove yourself at the end, which I loved about the course, and it takes confidence to do that, and you have to have like a stern grip on your abilities and be able to say, this is what we done, this is what we made. And if you think about like, all the setbacks that we had in our final year, and the amount of not arguments amongst ourselves, but like how many times we left presentations angry because people were challenged, but we knew we could do better, and we ended up putting a class, like not just saying it's our project, but our project was class. But like, how many times did I lose the rag throughout the year just because I knew, like, I knew, like, at the end of it, like, I was like, they're just trying to get the best out of you, but I was losing my mind at times.
Yeah, there was definitely points where what we knew we were going to do didn't match up to what
was coming out of
other people. Yeah, and like, we would be in a room talking to people, would be like, oh yeah, it's going to be this and it's going to be this. We wanted to end up like this, and they'd look at what we had in front of them, and they'd be like, well, I can't see that. there. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know what this is. And we were so confident of what we were doing, but like, unable to show them how it was going to
Yeah.
end up. That I do remember like completely blowing the gasket. In one particular case, I remember absolutely losing my mind in a room with people,
Yeah.
and just being like, even just more determined then to be like, right,
Yeah.
when you see this at the end, this is going to be absolutely amazing.
And I would, but like, in our defense, the praises were sang at the end because we did pull up. But I think our project was more end goal, and then we needed it to be finished to see how class it was, rather than
Yeah,
to show brilliant pieces of it throughout, because we were down to the wire building it. Like,
yeah, and it was as much about the experience of being in it, because it was like, I don't know if anybody listening or watching this that would have been in it can remember it, or how you describe it. You see, this is the problem that we came into
yeah,
when we were trying to sell it to lecturers and stuff, of how you describe it to someone who wasn't there and
yeah.
didn't see it.
I don't know. Like, it was like the only way I could describe it was like an immersive multimedia experience that aimed to show you. Fucking, I still can't even explain it. Like, it was just so weird.
Yeah.
Like, it was all about like positive affirmations and changing yourself. But it was like a sharp burst. I think it was like 12, 13 minutes long, the whole experience of
Yeah.
us being able to make you feel better in that 12 minutes, and you walking out thinking, fuck, there's something else. Like, you can. It was us rewiring your mind for 13 minutes, essentially. It was brainwash. We brainwashed people for 13 minutes.
Yeah, and we did it with sound, we did it with visuals, we did it with like testimony from people, and it was definitely like, it was one of those things. I think we were talking about it already, but like, it took so much pride in what we created and what like people's reactions were to it, and that I remember somebody going into it twice.
Yeah.
Because he enjoyed it so much the first time that he was like, I think he went back to get his wife or something and get her to come in and do it as well.
Yeah.
And all you were doing was just standing there, and we were just telling you, look, your class, like, you can do whatever you want. It's fine. But take a deep breath. You're dead.
But we like, it sounds so simple, but there was so much like science and like behavioral things put into it that like you don't realize what's going on, and then all of a sudden you're like, we have you stand there doing breathing exercises and listen to binaural audio that's like meant to like rewire your brain to make you feel good.
Yeah. I mean, it does sound completely nuts. But
I still have all that. I must actually stick that up somewhere. Like, see if I could link it on my website or something. Because it's like, I know I keep saying it that we made it, but it's fantastic. Like, and it is the feel good experience. I'd love to remake it though, because like I've watched over from time to time some with the quality of like the video and stuff's gack, but we no resources though.
No, I think that, and because it took us a while to really properly nail down what it is we were trying to do.
Yeah.
That if you knew starting it what your end thing was going to look like and what it was going to feel like, then like obviously you'd tailor your stuff a little bit more towards what the end goal was. But we were just figuring it out as we went.
Yeah, we really did. Like, we had like green screen. So green screen is used with the purpose of using a green screen. We used a white wall, like a pack of numpties, and I green screened a white wall out. Like, chroma keyed it, yeah. Like, that's just the most silly thing to do. Like.
Yeah, and I even remember the interviews and stuff that we interviewed a bunch of people, and I think we should have like structured the interviews better. We could have asked them like really, really specific questions instead of having like these like really wonderful rambling conversations that we had with people about how they made a change in their life. But they were like, you'd watch the interviews and go, this is great, but like, how do I cut 30 seconds or like 2 seconds out of this? It's just, you need to hear the whole thing.
Yeah, because we probably had a couple of hours of interviews there that we condensed into. So the whole thing was 12 minutes. We probably condensed into 4 or 5 minutes.
Yeah. And each one of the interviews that we did was really worthwhile and was really great, because it is that thing of like people telling you that they came up against something or had a decision to make about something in like their career or their personal life, and that they were like, yeah, I'm not afraid to do this. We're going to go and do it because things will be better afterwards. And it was like, these are all really great.
Yeah.
And some of them were tiny things that people did, and some of them were much bigger things, but they were all really great to listen to.
I still have all of them. I must send them on to you, actually. I still have all those files.
Yeah, I don't know if I want to see them though.
Some of them are good. Some of them are brilliant.
I'll probably see them and think, yeah, these are great, but holy shit, I should have asked this question or that question, or
that's why
led someone down this path.
The best one was, remember, we won't say names, but remember, I was like, I knew one of them from somewhere, and I was like,
yeah,
like, and I rambled out for weeks. I was like, I know this person, like, I've met this person that we've interviewed before. And it turns out they tried to start a fight me because I got the order of a UFC prelim card wrong and just lost ahead of me. But good things.
You deserve to get your ass up for that.
Oh, 100%. Like, yeah. I probably deserve it.
I mean, people have gotten their ass up for less than that.
Yeah. Well,
I think that the day we recorded that, I think, was either the day before Prince died or the day that Prince died.
No way. That's very specific to remember.
Because the reason I remember it is because this person that did it, if they had known that Prince had died that day, would never have done the interview, because it would have been like, I'm going home to listen to Prince. I'm not going to talk to you today. And we never would have got that interview if they had announced Prince's death about 10 minutes earlier. He would not have come in. That's
just common for trying to start a fight. My leg is wrapped around my. Oh, there we go. Sorry, my leg was wrapped around my cable, and I could just see like my laptop moving back a little bit there. It was common for trying to start a fight. Yeah, we're gonna go. I want to pull it way back again though, the first year, because there was a question I wanted to ask, but we just went on a tangent. How did it feel coming into first year, knowing, like, not that I was significantly older, but like the age is like of generally what first year students are 18 to 20, 21 maybe?
17, 18, 19, yeah.
Yeah, probably, yeah, generally, yeah. Actually, our class was a wee bit older, which is brilliant, but like, how was that initially, like the first day thinking, like how's this going to fare out? Like, and we didn't have any really other mature students, did we?
There was one that started with me she was a year or two younger than me.
Yeah.
And they had us, like, wherever we met up, the day we were getting our student cards, like the day we were registering and stuff like that, she was there with me, and we went to pick up the cards. We had like to do a queue, and it was the building that we were in, that we were studying in, was like the creative building, and had all the computer students and programmers and stuff, like. And then the other buildings, like the nursing building or like the business building, had all of the lads in it, like the lads that I really didn't want to be. I didn't want to hang out with them when I was the same age as them, and I really didn't want to fucking hang out with them when I was 10 years older than them. But that was one of those, I can't remember if it was the nursing building or the main building, that we were collecting our student cards. And I remember being in a queue with her beside me, and there's like people in front and behind. And I remember thinking, like, this is the absolute worst fucking idea I've ever had in my life. This is going to be a nightmare.
Yeah.
They were just listening to them talking to each other. I was like, I can't do this. I can't sit in a class with these people and get along with them and like have to crack, because that's as much as part of it as, the learning is, that like,
absolutely, yeah.
enjoy the people that you're in college with, and that you have experiences and you learn about yourself and all that kind of stuff. But I was like, I'm not doing it. I like, even before we got to the first day, I was gonna quit. And then like something, I don't know if it was just something happened, but it was like just the group that we were in. I think they weren't all 17 or 18. Like a lot of us were like 19 or 20, and like the couple of years makes a difference,
Yeah, I was 20. I would have been 20 in first year, I think.
Yeah, and I felt like there was a good few people that were around the same age.
I think most of us were in our 20s. A lot were older. Like a fair few of the class were older than me. So
yeah, but it was scary, because you don't know how things are going to go. You don't know how you're going to get along with people.
Yeah.
And I'd have anxiety issues and like social anxiety issues, and just not feeling comfortable in scenarios. And my instinct would always just be to cut and run, would
Yeah.
always just be like, I'm just going home.
Yeah.
I'm just not going to deal with this. If I'm not comfortable in it, I'm just going to go. But I don't know how much of it was just me deciding I'm I'm just going to give myself up to this, and if everybody's if everybody's nice, it'll be brilliant, and if they're not, fuck it, we'll just deal with it after. But
Yeah. Yeah.
the going into the first few classes and stuff, I kind of realized that like other people are just as nervous as me.
Mm.
Like it's a pretty nerve-wracking thing for someone to come from a different part of the country to Dundalk, home of the champions, and be in a class with a bunch of people and like to speak up on certain subjects. And I kind of felt like, you know what, I think I can just be that person
Yeah.
for the beginning, like to like try and break the ice or try and bring somebody into a conversation because they're sitting and they're not like
Yeah.
part of the main group, but they want to be part of the main group, and like to be able to just spot things like that because you have a little bit a little bit more some more years on the tires, you know. That you can see people being a little bit uncomfortable, or you can see people wanting to be part of things. And I was kind of like, doing that made me feel better because I knew I felt uncomfortable and I felt out of place. And if I saw someone else feeling uncomfortable and out of place, I'm like, oh, I'll get them in, and I feel better for getting them in, and then like I'll be part of it along with them. So that was like always what I tried to do in the beginning, and I probably like tried to get people involved in things that they didn't want to get involved in, or like tried to include people in conversations and they're like, no, please just leave me alone, I don't want to talk about football. But like that was what I was like, that was genuinely, that was really, really scary to me, and it is scary to anybody, I'd imagine, over a certain age. It's scary to anybody going into a group of new people, but especially someone that's older, you know, it can be really tough. And then I imagine people older than me, like a generation, like say older than me, it would be doubly difficult for them. But they they still have those same possibilities and the same possibilities, the same skills to like help people along. And by helping people along, then like feeling like you're part of the group because of that.
It is. It's such a scary aspect, because that was one thing I was kind of concerned about, because I always had this like notion that I was never going to go to college. Like I just always thought I wouldn't fit in. Like I wasn't very academically inclined in secondary school. It wasn't that, like, it was just like didn't bother. Like I just wasn't interested in it, and I was like, I'm not going to go to college. It's going to be the same experience. But when you do get in and you get into the group and you start making your friends and talking to people, and you realize you're around like-minded people and everyone has the same interest and everyone has that same common goal of completing your 3 or 4 years and getting your degree at the end and getting out. I think once you come to that realization, I think everything kind of settles down and you kind of get on and start enjoying it more so. Because the first few weeks, it's just like, even first few weeks of any academic years, it's kind of wishy-washy. You're figuring your timetable out. But trying to figure your timetable out with no friends, you're trying to make friends, you're trying to talk to people, you're trying not to be awkward. You kind of know that it can be consuming and it can be very tough, especially for people like myself that like, I wouldn't be the most sociable. I kind of keep to myself as much as I can.
And that's like, it's a scary, that's what I'm saying. It's a scary prospect for anybody to go into like a brand new college year and like, I don't know anybody in here. And it always seems like, I don't know, like this, I think it just happened to me in work situations and stuff as well, but it always feels like everybody else knows each other and that you're the only one that doesn't know anyone. And you're like, there's 2 people sitting in front of me that have been chatting this entire time. How did they know each other? And it's only just that they sat down like 5 minutes before you did and their conversation started and away they went. But it's a horrible, horrible feeling to be like, you know, I'm just, I'm never going to get involved in this. I'm never going to be part of this group. I'm never going to be talking to these people. This is like, what did I do this for? I'm going home.
But then look what happened. Like, I know I think we were very, very fortunate in the class group that we had. But like we always had Christmas dinner together and always like went out on big nights together and like for people's birthdays and whatever. But we always made the effort to socialize as a group as well, which is sad because some people don't get that in a college experience.
I think the size of the group helps a lot. Like you could be in a college class that has like 50 or 60, whereas ours was 25 at the most.
We started with 40.
And even but it didn't stay at 40 for very long. I scared off a bunch of people.
They're like, fuck, there's old people here. I think I remember it's like come third year out of the original 40 that started in the first year together. I think it was like 12 or something that finished.
Yeah.
Plus like that's advanced starts and stuff like that obviously included. But I think it was like 25 in total we finished with, or 20.
Yeah, I think it helped that it was the same people turning up every day.
Yeah.
So you got to know people really, really fast because there wasn't an enormous sea of people in your class on a Monday morning. Well, actually, when it was filmed, there was an enormous sea of people. But for the most part, you're seeing the exact same 10, 15 faces every single class, and then the odd one that will come in around that. But it was a good core of people that were all really, really nice to me.
Yeah, it was. Everyone was fantastic. Like they really were, and like we're all still friends to this day. Like I know some people graduate and they disband, and that's it. You won't hear from your classmates until a reunion comes down the line somewhere, like your 10-year reunion or something like that. But we all still stay. Like Thomas texted me today where we do a table quiz. I actually texted back. It was actually texted back.
There's sometimes you think of somebody that was in your class, you think of someone and think, I wonder what they're doing with their lives.
Yeah.
And obviously, I know what Thomas is doing with his life, and it's amazing. And like the good thing about like social media and stuff, you're able to keep up with people, even if you don't really want to keep up with them, but you can at least see where they're at in the world.
You can observe from a distance.
Yeah, you can judge from a distance. You could be like, oh, you had so much potential and you've wasted it. Which of course I don't say that about anybody, but you could.
No, we just did though. Name it. Who are you talking about? Name names.
No one knows what I'm talking about.
We're all about naming names here. Call them out. Name and shame.
I was avoiding use when I was talking about queuing up for the student card. I was avoiding using Jodie's name because I'm like, maybe we're not supposed to use names on this. But then you were like, oh, Thomas texted me earlier, so I'm like, yeah, it was Jodie that was.
Yeah. Of course it is. Use those names. Tom's not even gonna watch this.
Oh, look, I will be so upset if Thomas doesn't watch this.
He 100% will. I'll send it to him as soon as we're done. Not even edit. I'll just send it to him and give me your thoughts. But it flew by though. College absolutely flew by, and I could be 4 years were gone on the blip, and now
you did.
I did 4. Yeah.
I only did 3, and I was just like 3 was enough.
Yeah.
For me, I needed to go back to the real world. When I got done with 3, it was the first opportunity I could get to go and get a job and go and make money and stuff. I was like, I have to. Yeah, you have to. Yeah. No, it's completely understandable as well. I was just like, I'm in for a penny, I'm in for a pound. I'll do it for you. But I actually almost pulled the plug on 4th year of Christmas. I was almost like, I'm out. We talked about that a lot actually in 3rd year about whether you were going to come back for 4th year or whether I was going to come back or who did we think was going to come back for 4th year. And most of us did come back. A few didn't, but I can see why people wouldn't come back to it because we were so practically inclined for 3 years pretty much. And then all of a sudden it's a very practically more academic based. I know the whole thing's academic based, but you've your dissertation, you have a group project that is essentially 2 dissertations. And I really was I'm out at Christmas. I was no, I'm done. I can't take the dissertation was not that I found it difficult. It was just it was just taking up so much more time than practical stuff would. I'd literally I'd spend all day. I'd get up at the way I used to write my dissertation was I'd get up at 9, I'd start at 10, and I do 2-hour blocks. I do 2 hours on, an hour off, and I could do that to 2, 3 in the morning.
I just keep going. It just took so long. It took so much energy out of me to write it. But
Yeah.
it's just because I found writing so much more difficult than the practical stuff like Photoshop and stuff like that.
Yeah, I was the opposite. I found the writing much easier than like the proper hands-on practical stuff. Like
Yeah.
I was fine with the practical stuff, but I was like writing is what I'd be most comfortable doing. I was going to say the one I was like the best at, but the one I was more comfortable doing was writing. So it was like, but I had gone before year 4, so I didn't actually get to do that. But it was the way I looked at it was I'd done the 3 years and I was leaving with a qualification, and I kind of half knew I had a job.
Yeah.
As soon as I walked out the door, and I found it really hard to like give that up.
Yeah.
But I think like the circumstances in my life changed a lot over the 3 years.
Yeah.
Which, if they hadn't changed, maybe I would have got to year 4 and been like, oh no, I'll just keep going. But you know, things did change over the 3 years.
Yeah.
I needed to pay for that knee operation. But yeah, it was just like I felt like I had everything that I needed to get from it.
Yeah.
So I was just like, I don't need to do the 4th year.
Yeah. Yeah. I was probably of the same opinion, but I was just like, you know what? Fuck it, I'll go for it. Like just to do it. And so I think what age am I? 26. So I was only 23, 24 when I graduated. So I was like, I might as well just do it, just for the sake of doing it. And I'm like, and honestly, it was the toughest 9 months of like just trying to figure shit out for me. And I wouldn't change it for the world now. Like I feel like I'm far more better off. Not just because I had the extra year, but that extra year, like I learned so much more, and I carried a lot of it into like the professional world, which I'm glad I done. But like, it was tough. Like more like that dissertation, broke me in half, just because it was so. It was because it was research based dissertation and research based writing, so it was dependent on a lot of people coming back to you for interviews and stuff like that. And mine was down the drain 3 or 4 times at one stage, and just had enough. But so look, we've done it.
Yeah, like it sounds awful, but the feeling at the end of it when you've done it.
Oh, it was fantastic. It was fantastic. And not bragging, but finished with a first class honours degree. And
why wouldn't you brag? Brag about it.
Yeah, finish with first
class.
Not
everybody does that.
Yeah, just to finish with a 74 average or something like that. But no, but I saying that, like, I cried actual tears when I got my results. Like, I've never been so proud of myself to have gone through something, accomplished that, and done it to the best I could and to a very high standard. And opened results and just sat down and cried for like 10 minutes, and then sucked it up and did all my life.
So like remembered who I was and got on with it.
Yeah, it's like fuck.
I was going to just say that you reminded me of something about the because we're talking about how great the group was and everything, and how everybody's remained like close enough, and like I work with Neve that was in the course with us now. Like it's everybody's still connected and everything. But
it's such a small world. Like
I remember the night, graduation night, that we went to Crown Plaza, I think it was.
Yeah, that was a weird night.
And because you mentioned Thomas there, and I mentioned Paddy at some point. I don't know if I mentioned Paddy in this, but no, actually I was talking about Paddy before we started this. But that I remember talking to Thomas, and he said something to me, and I started crying. And I kind of held together enough to be like, right now, fuck off, leave me alone, go off and do whatever you're going to do. And then Paddy called, because I was trying to leave at the time, like I was ready to go home. And I think I cried with you as well, I think, earlier that night. I fucking cried a lot. But I was talking to Paddy, and he was talking to me about like the whole 3 years experience and stuff, and I started crying with him. And then Rachel and me got in the taxi then, and I sat in the taxi and I bawled my eyes out the whole way home. And I think got back to Rachel's place, and sat and cried again for ages, because it was like, that was such an amazing experience that I had being in college with everybody, and to have the relationships that I ended up having with the people that were in the course with me. It's just the most precious and wonderful thing that I got to have in the middle of not the point that you're supposed to have that journey. Like, that's supposed to be in your early 20s or whatever. That's just what you're told it's supposed to be. But then I had it at like the end of my 20s and the beginning of my 30s. I was so grateful for having that experience with people.
Oh, absolutely. It's an absolute whirlwind experience. And I give anything to go back to first year of college and just do it all over again. It's a fantastic experience.
Like, do you know what? Now that I've done it, I'm like, I think I can just leave it alone. I need to.
Oh, so I go through this cycle I'd say at least every 2 months. I'll start looking up masters, and I'd be like, yeah, no, we're going back. I'll go back in September. I'll do a masters, and then we'll get on with things then. And then when I just think back, like, I used to do a dissertation for a master's or something. No way. I'd go back for.
I would say. I was just going to say, yeah, I'd say that to anybody that anybody that is considering going back to college, anybody that's considering taking up a new vocation or whatever, that do something that you're interested in. Like, don't pick something that you think would be good for your CV, or don't pick something that you think would be good for getting a job, like that you think, oh, this is like a solid sector in the financial world. I'm going to study this and I'll get a job and I'll whatever. Don't pick subjects for that reason. That if you pick something that there's even 2 modules in it that you enjoy, it's so much better. And like, yeah, you can just say to yourself, right, I might not get a job at the end of this, but I'm going to know more about whatever it is that I wanted to do in the first place. And you will more than likely find like-minded people then because of that. And it'll be easier for you to integrate yourself into a group of people because they will have similar interests, or they'll have absolutely no interests at all. But it's an easier group. It's an easier world to get into if they probably have the same interests as you. And even if you don't know anything about pop culture for the last 10 years, last 10 or 20 years, you can still just be like, oh, I saw this or I did this or whatever. And like, you can join in conversations like that. But it's the best decision you can make to pick something that you would like to do rather than making it like an academic decision or a business decision or whatever. Just pick something that you want to do.
I think that's absolutely perfect. And you know what? I'm going to leave it at that because you'll not find a better way to end it than that. And I completely agree with you that there's no, like, I can't see any point in going to college unless it's for something that you wholeheartedly want to do and you know that you'll enjoy. Because it's stressful. Even if you love it, it's stressful. You'll be stressed out of your mind. You go through highs and lows, and you'll be wondering, is this for me? Is this not for me? Like I could probably find a job, probably stick through it, get through it, battle through it, and it'll be the most rewarding experience you could ever do. And you'll make friends for life, you'll make connections for life, and it'll just send you on the perfect path. Like, you'll know coming out of 4 years or 3 years or whatever it is, that this is what I'm meant to be doing. Yup, bullet. The whiskey's coming out.
This is how we're going to end it.
Love it. And yeah, you'll just know. That's the best way. You'll just know what to be doing with yourself afterwards. And even if it's 4 years and it's a complete bust, you'll still know what you're supposed to be doing afterwards. So
yeah, just, you're better off trying it and failing than not trying it at all.
Yeah. And I can't remember who said it, but someone said it doesn't matter how long it takes, there's no time stamp on a degree. So even if it takes you 12 years to get it, still do it and enjoy it. And also, you don't have to go to college as well. Actually, that's important to say. You don't have to go to college.
Yeah,
Do whatever you
yeah.
want. Yeah, that's just us talking.
This is like the yeah. This is the if you want to go to college, listen to this
Yeah.
podcast. If you don't want to go to college, then just do whatever the fuck you want.
Yeah, do
Just be
whatever you
happy.
want.
Be nice
Yeah,
to
just,
people.
be nice to people and do what you want. And we'll call it quits there. Don't appreciate
Cheers.
it. Love it. Cheers. I've a bottle of water. Cheers.
I'll drink two.
Yep.